Portanto, estava a dizer que deixem-me cumprimentar publicamente a doutora Maria de Belém e agradecer por tantas contribuições para a saúde global e em Portugal, e agora é uma honra e uma mais-valia tê-la neste projeto e é ótimo tê-la aqui a lutar por melhoria na área da diabetes. Professor Vasco Carneiro, obrigada pelo convite, parabéns pela iniciativa e obrigada por envolver o Programa Nacional para a Diabetes e a Direção-Geral de Saúde neste projeto, que de certeza que vai trazer vai ser importante e apoiar aqui o que são as nossas ações. O professor Vasco Carneiro conhece-me desde há longo tempo, a altura em que fui sua aluna, e agora é muito simpático, muito agradável pensar que vamos aqui criar novas pontes e se calhar até participar noutros projetos em comum. Dear Professor Zalatel, thank you very much for your great presentation and the lessons from CRODIS Plus. I did not participate in a previous CRODIS, but some of my collaborators did. And I have to tell you, they keep very good memories of a work package 7 about diabetes as a case study on strengthening healthcare for people with chronic diseases. Thank you. Dear colleagues, dear participants, I hope you find my presentation useful. Let's see. So it's about governance for diabetes in Portugal, but it is the perspectives of the Directorate General of Health and especially of the National Program for Diabetes. So to put this in context, we have a national health plan. The plan for 2130 is being prepared, and it is based on the motto of a sustainable health from all to all, or from everyone to everyone. I don't know how to translate it. It is based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and taking into account the social value of health, the central role of health in these sustainable goals, and a strategic health planning, which is population-based. It is based on the 5 Ps: peace, planet, place, people, participation, and prosperity. So that we can identify needs, focus on what's important, choose the best strategies, make recommendations, implement, evaluate, and then start all over again. So it's based on health planning, social commitments, an intersectorial model, with a focus on inequities, coherent at several levels, with the participation of all, namely the civil society, valuing communication, monitoring, and evaluation. The strategic plan of the Directorate General of Health for these years also is in line, of course, with what we want in diabetes: an integrated approach, strengthening health monitoring, literacy, quality and safety of healthcare, of course, the participation in the global health and preparedness for emergencies. It is also aligned with the WHO Health 2020 and thinking about investing in a lifelong approach, empowerment of citizens, tackling non-communicable diseases, namely diabetes, of course, and on people and public health training and creating resilient communities. And we've seen how that is important in diabetes now with this pandemic crisis. It is also in line with the axis of the constitutional government for health, with that wants primary health care with more responses, adequate response times, health for all along life, new ways of providing health and strengthening the National Health Service. So what's the problem about diabetes? Diabetes is a pandemic worldwide, we all know it, and in Portugal it is a huge problem. You may see it here, the mean of the prevalence of diabetes from 20 to 79 years old. In Europe, it's 6.2 and 9.8 in Portugal. So it's one of the highest prevalences in Europe. And we have an old population. So when you see it in the population, it is even more, because it means about 40% of this population may have diabetes, even if they don't know it. So it's 1 million people probably have diabetes in a country with 10 million. Why? Probably because we have less activity, we do less activity, we have more overweight, we have more obesity, and there are several other factors, and some we know we may then discuss if we want. Now, 2 or 3 slides just to make a big picture of healthcare. So risk evaluation has been done in primary healthcare, and by the end of 2019, about 44% of adult people had this type 2 risk evaluation, defined risk done. This is a way to promote diagnosis, early diagnosis, and we had, and the figures, I'm not showing you the last year's figures, but the numbers are still rising. So we have over 800,000 people registered as having diabetes in Portugal. And there have been from 6,000 to 80,000 new diagnoses each year. Most of the people are assisted by a doctor and a nurse in the primary health care. 2/3 have glycated hemoglobin done in the last 6 months. 60% had H1C equal or below 8. Lipid profile was not so well controlled. Blood pressure was quite well controlled in general. And what about screenings? About 2/3, or a little over, had the nephropathy screened each year, and food check record. And what I'm showing here about the diabetic retinopathy screening, is the populational screening, which has been implemented in the last years, and you can see it here in the graphic that is rising, but still not with the results that we want. By the end of 2018, it covered about half of the people which was invited to do the screening, and about 30% did it. Then we have a pre-hospital care. It's an SNS 24 helpline, and the admissions. Here you may see the admissions for diabetes as a primary diagnosis. And in green, you have the classical admissions for over 24 hours, which were about 7,000 and slowly decreasing, and it is lower than the mean in Europe. Then you see a lot of admissions with less than 24 hours, and I can tell you that most of them are for ophthalmology procedures. What we have a lot, and here you can see figures raising and showing that there are over 200,000 admissions each year and raising of people with diabetes. It's people that are admitted with other disease, and they also have diabetes as an associate diagnosis. That means that for the people that we have in the hospital, about 12% have diabetes, and that's quite important because they have longer admissions, higher in hospital lethality, and several other complications. Another important indicator is amputations. In here, numbers were decreasing, but still very high, and we need more attention to this problem. Mortality. Slowly decreasing, a little bit higher than maybe we would like, but something not so bad is that from those deaths, 12% were in people below 70-year-old. And as you may know, this precocious mortality is rising all over the world, except for women in Europe, and that was what was happening in Portugal. Actually, it seemed to be decreasing for males, but then it seems to be increasing again. And costs. Costs are quite high for Portugal, almost 1% of the GDP, 10% of health expenditure, and for 2017, over 700 million euros costs identified. And you have to take into account that about 1/3 to half of the costs are not identified. Half of them were for hospital admissions, not for diabetes as a primary diagnosis, so it was not all attributed to diabetes, but those were an important part. And the medications for diabetes were responsible for 23% of all outpatient spending on medication. So this is important. So where comes the National Program for Diabetes? Here you have the organization chart of the Directorate General of Health, and diabetes is one of the 12 national priority programs. We have a direction, a team, expert groups that we work with, several, and a scientific council that includes scientific orders, scientific societies, and a representative of the people, of the associations of people with diabetes. We articulate with regional coordinators, one for each of the regions in mainland, and each region has several clusters of health centers, and in the region of each one of those, there is a functional coordinating diabetes unit, which is quite important because it includes a director, executive, and a nurse from the primary health care. It includes a representative of the public health and medical and nurse representative of the hospital. And they work locally, so they articulate with the civil society, with the municipality, with the patients, and with health teams. So they are the ones who implement the National Diabetes Program locally, you may say. And of course, the arrows go for both sides, and we also have meetings directly with the units, but it was too many arrows here. So what are our main goals? Prevention, early diagnosis, quality treatment, and equitable access, reduce complications, reduce mortality, and have a longer, healthy living. The goals for 2020 were essential, or were quite focused on decreasing the development of diabetes, increasing the number of new diagnoses, and reduce precocious mortality. Now, I will just tell you some projects, some plans of the action plan for these last years. On the area of health promotion and disease prevention, the risk assessments, the early diagnosis, prevention, and literacy. For good practices, quality and safety, we have the clinical standards, which is the quality in health department are in charge of it, the complication screenings, the program for treatment with insulin pumps, and some projects on the area of inclusion and safety. In epidemiological monitoring and surveillance, which is very important to then decide and take some actions, we have monitoring reports, interinstitutional cooperation, national and international, clinical registers. We are also trying to do some work in that area, and IT developments. And then there are several other projects like supporting civil society, communication, international cooperation, for instance. So for health promotion and disease prevention, we are preparing this project, this program, More Health, Less Diabetes, Mais Saúde, Menos Diabetes. And the first part is about screening, not only by the health teams, but also by the citizens. And this is already under, it's already working, and you've seen some figures. And then promote early diagnosis for those at moderate or higher risk. For those, then we want, in that the new part, to promote something for promoting prevention. That's something that we need now that we have so many people at risk identified. This is coordinated by the diabetes program. It has the partnership of healthy eating and physical activity programs and the literacy division, because those are very important areas in the prevention of type 2 diabetes. And then, so by the end of this year, we hopefully will have some of these literacy sessions online, but we also wanted that next year we'll start some face-to-face sessions for very high or pre-diabetes people, and to have local partnerships to offer physical activity programs to these people. Another project that started last year is a national competition for filmmaking by schools. It's simple, but it's a nice way to put students and teachers talking about diabetes, which is very important for people with type 1, but also to prevent long time type 2 and also to promote literacy in the families. And the theme for this year is diabetes and insulin, so that we can commemorate the 100th anniversary of insulin discovery. We promote infographies, and these are some from last year regarding COVID. And then remembering that during the pandemic, it is even more important to prevent diabetes, to have the diabetes controlled, and some movies also in that area. So for good practices, quality and safety, in 2019, we had several materials that were prepared to support health and education professionals training. And also it was published an order to support children and young people with type 1 at school, and materials for all the school community, the children, the young people, and so on. Sorry. Okay. We also have project financing, and last year it was this one to create an interactive digital platform for people with diabetes and their caregivers. The one that win, and it is under course, it's for type 2 management. So, and it's being done by now by APDP, and then will be open for use in all countries. That's what we want. So we now have one plan for prevention, and this will be for management of type 2, which will be very important. The program coordinates treatment with subcutaneous insulin infusion systems, and by now we have treatment centers in every region, and the program has been covering more people each year. By now, every people that is eligible has got the right to have access to a pump, to an insulin pump for free in this program. What we are working in, and it is not still included in the program, is the new integrated devices and the adhesive devices, but we have been in the last 2 years strongly working so that it can be a reality in the next future. This is not something specific for diabetes, but telehealth is quite important for diabetes, so I think I should mention it here. Last year, the SPMS did this program that so that there can be real-time interaction between doctors and patients and between health teams. And there are standards on teleconsultations. They were being reviewed, and the program also did some suggestions regarding diabetes. We have the diabetes retinopathy screening was included in the National Recovery and Resilience Plan. So hopefully that coverage of this screening will increase during the next years to cover almost all people. And some actions were taken for the recovery of non-COVID care activity. In the monitoring, we have periodic reports, and this is one of those. An English version is prepared and waiting for publishing. There is this diabetes dashboard that is prepared and waiting for some data to be put there and to have a public version of it. Now, other ongoing work, it's about type 1 registry analysis. Lots of work has been done, and there has been the SPMS, which prepares the IT developments, is also working on it. We are working on the possible reorganization of type 1 care plan, developing IT for the registry of prevention program, the review of registers in primary health care and hospital care, and the review of the standards, namely regarding kidney, food, and type 2 treatment. For the future, some things we would like is a new national survey on prevalence of diabetes, to resume the Diabetes in Motion program. This is a project for type 2, but it means face-to-face physical activity, so it stopped with COVID. and the development of an IT tool to view data stored in all glucose meters, all CGM, and all insulin pumps all in one and accessible to people and with diabetes and health professionals. Now, brief SWOT analysis, and I will stop. Some strengths: to have a national program and to be integrated in the Directorate General of Health, the articulation with other national priority programs, to have periodic reports on diabetes. We have digital national records, an integrated primary and secondary care and diabetes functional coordinating units, a long history of therapeutic education, which is very important in diabetes, and well-trained professionals. Weaknesses, and these are just some: the lack of human resources in the program, the dependency from other structures, the delay in assessing epidemiological data, the difficulty to use allocated budget, the lack of resources and funds to implement IT developments, and the standards that need to be updated. Opportunities, the goals, the global goals that are good for diabetes. The diabetes impact in the National Health Service should be an opportunity. The National Health Plan, universal coverage of the NHS. We have a very active and well-organized civil society and several institutions quite active in this area. An active parliament that has been doing several proposals and good proposals, treatment novelties and the opportunities to reorganize care, and still many motivated health professionals and society. Threats: we are always in a social and economic crisis, and this is important in diabetes. Now the COVID pandemics, the decisions approval timeline, the lack of specific professionals, and we may talk about that, and the low budget for primary prevention in health. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor.